Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan podcast. On today's show, Cathay Pacific flies its last stored A330 back home. British Airways returns to Heathrow after a 9-hour flight to nowhere. Boeing leases a new facility at Embry-Riddle. Microsoft Flight Simulator 224 launches on November the 19th. Single pilot operations, NTSB, Singapore Airlines, Virgin, easyJet, Iberia, and some more news on Bark Aviation. How you, pal?
How's it, cuz? Shot for episode 190.
Yeah, it's getting there, hey?
Yeah.
Helps when you do a couple a week, and it helps us as well. I think
It
you
does.
like stay current.
Yeah, in a groove.
That's what we think anyway. Should we jump into it?
Yeah.
Cathay flew its last stored A330-300 from Alice Springs back to Hong Kong on June the 6th, making the end of a 4-year storage period due to the pandemic. Chief Operations Officer highlighted the maintenance efforts on 85 parked aircraft. The airline now fully operational with 185 aircraft, plans further expansion and upgrades. So I suppose that's quite a thing. Those of you that remember our Hong Quarantine episode with Dave Dobbo on the other side, a few whiskeys down. That was the best live episode we ever did.
Yeah, that was true.
We actually, I think we put a shout out. We said, is anyone online? Anyone want to come online? And I think Dave put his hand up.
Yeah.
And he had been stuck in quarantine for a while. So it was a really good laugh.
It's quite funny because I think Dave had gotten stuck into a bit of whiskey that night. And
It was probably,
and now he's producing it. Which is
Yeah.
really cool.
so that night was probably the catalyst to Aerotude being born, which, by the way, is a sponsor on today's show.
Yeah. Damn fine whiskey, guys.
Yeah. What number was that show that we did back then?
Shucks, guys, I can't remember. That was a while ago. I mean,
I think it was even before 100.
maybe we were stuck into some whiskey that episode as well.
We used to. Yeah, we actually used to. It was a requirement to actually get up the courage to go and do it back in the day. Remember?
I remember that, yeah.
No longer the case because we do it bright and early in the morning these days. British Airways flight from London to Houston on June the 10th returned to Heathrow after nearly 9 hours due to a minor technical fault. Operated by a 7879, the flight turned back near Newfoundland. Passengers were accommodated overnight and flown out the next day. The Trent 1000 engine was suspected to be the root cause, but it was basically a 9-hour flight to nowhere.
It's a bit of a hack, eh? You know, as a passenger, that sucks, eh? Because 9 hours, you should just about be at your destination.
That
Now you
sucks.
Oh,
That
man.
does. Look, any delay sucks, but man, when you've flown for that long.
Yeah.
Another pandemic, we're reminiscing about the pandemic today. But remember all those flights to nowhere in the pandemic? You weren't allowed to go anywhere. Remember? So there were these flights.
Yeah,
We even
yeah.
had an episode called Flights to Nowhere. Aircraft went out and back intentionally
Yeah.
just so people could fly.
What are they doing this for again? It was just,
And people just lost the plot back then. But yeah,
yeah.
still happens today.
This one, Boeing will soon be leasing Embry-Riddle's new Chi-Chi and Hyatt-Brown Center for Aerospace Technology, which employs 400 workers by 2026. This facility, located at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida, will hire 200 engineers for military aircraft and advanced tech programs, with another 200 jobs added next year. Boeing will also launch the Dreamliner STEM program in Volusia County schools. So, like,
I won't lie to you. I was looking at. I'd be quite keen to do a course through Embry-Riddle, to be honest,
Yeah.
because they got so many. They got some really nice courses. I mean, you can do a degree through them until you see the price, and then you realize living in South Africa, unless you get some sort of bursary for that, you ain't doing a degree.
our Randolas are not going to cater for such.
No, but it's a beautiful facility, and they've got some awesome courses. If you got the bucks and you're looking to, move ahead in your career, there's some really nice areas of aviation management that you could take on.
It's cool because I see this as Boeing being able to send their workers there so that
get trained properly. Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 will launch in November. The update features new aircraft, career paths, dynamic weather, and a wear and tear system that aims to improve the user experience with cloud-based data storage for shorter load times. Additional details will be shared at the Flight Sim Expo 2024 in Las Vegas. That is from June the 21st, next week, to the 23rd. That'll be quite a cool thing to go to in Vegas.
It would be quite cool. I'd be fascinated to see what.
I'm not sure how much time you and I would spend at the flight.
There's got to be like close to a bar there somewhere. Jokes aside, the realism in these flight simulators nowadays.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Insane.
But how's this? So, career path. So you can start your career as a sort of PPL student and then work your way up to an airline pilot.
I wonder how many of those oaks you'll catch in Hooters wearing a uniform, because we've done that before.
That guy's probably an Emirates captain now.
But I'm fascinated to see that. What's this one feature they've got here? Wear and tear system.
Yeah, so aircraft wear and tear system.
Yeah. So I imagine you'll get into your virtual CRJ and see orange stickers, all over the flight deck like we've used to.
I suppose depending on which airline you're flying.
This is a defect.
Yeah. This is a story worth further discussion, probably a podcast on its own. Europe's largest pilot union, the European Cockpit Association, has raised safety concerns over the introduction of extended minimum crew operations by Airbus, scheduled for 2027. The new single-pilot cruise operation relies heavily on automation, which the union argues could compromise safety due to potential system malfunctions and the increased burden on solo pilots. What's your take on that story?
Yeah, I think they must fuck off with that idea.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Not a good idea?
Nope.
Not going to work?
I don't think so.
So if you're an accountant, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but accountants and aviation, doesn't. That's
for the checks and balances, it makes a lot of sense. But it's
like military intelligence. It just does.
Well, let's look at it from a training perspective. So much of the training over the last 20 years has all been about how to work together in a multi-crew environment, and you always have one person that is looking after the aircraft and the other pilot is doing other things, looking through a QRH, trying to sort the problem, maybe dealing with ATC, whatever it is. But there's always one person that is in charge of flying the aircraft. So how do they shift it from going so deep and so training orientated in that direction to, you don't actually need that other pilot anymore? And they're talking, it's obviously, I suppose, aimed at the Airbus 350, I suppose, could be an argument that could be single crew. It's an advanced area, but is it that advanced that you don't need two people to fly it? It looks a bit complicated when you look in the cockpit there. There's a lot going on. But
see it now as it is. What happens if this thing becomes susceptible to, something like GPS spamming and spoofing and all this kind of stuff? The systems aren't completely autonomous. You need someone there to, correct the inputs, as an example alone. So I firmly don't believe that they're not going to get it right for single pilot ops.
Well, it will.
Not for a long time.
They will get it right if there's no pushback. So there is a bit of pushback, but there needs to be more. And this is where the aviation community, or certainly the pilots, need to stand up and say, whoa. Let's get the passengers on our side here and maybe start speaking a bit more about, it's not just a case of engaging the autopilot and off you go. There's a bit more to it. And maybe, if the passengers knew that this isn't such a good idea, then there would be a bigger force behind this, stopping this happening. So I hope,
airlines will feel it when the passengers start to refuse to fly their single pilot airplanes, and
true
they'll change
story.
their mind very quickly, I'm sure.
NTSB is urging Boeing and Airbus to develop a sophisticated cockpit safety system to prevent runway incursions. This follows a near miss at JFK involving a 777 and a 737. The NTSB recommends the FAA mandate this technology for all commercial planes and improve runway status light systems. Well, if someone is checking out for other aircraft,
It helps.
it helps. Yeah.
I was about to say, I can send you an update right now.
Yeah.
Dear crew, open your fucking eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's still 2 sets of eyes there if you single crew.
Yeah.
Look, in fairness, that single crew thing, a lot is mentioned about single crew in the cruise. You get where it's going anyway.
Exactly.
It starts off there. Singapore Airlines will offer $25,000 in advance compensation to the most seriously injured passengers from that flight that encountered severe turbulence on May the 20th that killed 1 passenger. The airline is covering medical expenses and has issued refunds to all on board. Final compensation might be high with potential legal claims under the Montreal Convention. So that's a given, but they are doing something about it. Even though, in fairness, it's not exactly the airline's fault unless the pilots didn't do something properly.
There hasn't been much said on that as to what the cause of that turbulence was.
No.
Next one, Virgin Atlantic will launch a new non-stop flight between London, Heathrow and Toronto on March the 30th, 2025, marking its return to Canada after more than a decade. So this daily service aims to connect the flights from Bengaluru, Delhi and Mumbai.
You chose the one with the difficult words.
I always get these stories. It's like, so it's a rare.
So,
Even the
Sir
simple words are
Richard
getting.
Branson highlighted the airline's 40-year journey. Did you see what he did the other day?
Mm-mm.
He was in 2 of his cabin crew that have been working for the airline, I think for something like 30 years or something crazy. They ended up getting married at the Little White Chapel in Vegas. So Branson heard about it and then went down there and he went to their wedding. It
Serious.
was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yes.
2 cabin crew members. He was on a podcast the other day. Did you listen to it? I think, was it on High Performance?
I haven't heard that one yet. No.
It was excellent. It was really, really good. Yeah.
He's the epitome of a real, like, what a CEO should be. I mean, I've read a lot of his books.
Yeah.
And,
He's sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah. I hadn't really realized that they say the airline's 40-year journey. Has Virgin Atlantic really been going nearly 40 years?
40 years, yeah. Been around a long time.
Shit, it was like, seems like just yesterday I remember them starting it up.
Yeah, and in that podcast, he speaks about the whole startup and how British Airways tried to shut him down. Interesting story if you don't know about it. Elliott Investment Management has taken a significant stake in Southwest. Now, this ties into your woke comment from yesterday or day before. He's taken a significant stake in Southwest Airlines, aiming for major changes to boost stock prices. CEO Bob Jordan is open to changes, excluding the 2 free check baggage policy. Elliott seeks upgraded leadership and a business review for a 70% return on its $1.9 billion investment. So maybe those sort of, because what deals did they have? There was they were being taken to court for an anti-abortion thing and this and that. So there's a new investor there who's pumped a lot of money in and is obviously making changes.
I see. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
It does. Long story short.
Along route expansion lines, the easyJet announced its largest route expansion, adding 60 new routes for the winter season and beyond, including as well flights from Tromsø, Norway, and
where's
Strasbourg.
Tromsø? Tromsø.
I don't know, I have to Google that one.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Europe.
From various UK.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so easyJet's expansion. Iberia and Volaris have announced a new codeshare expanding travel ops between Europe and Mexico. European travelers can now access 25 new destinations within Mexico via Volaris. I did not know Volaris was Mexican. I must not
Turning into a bit of a geography lesson today.
Speaking of geography, did you check the Palma Airport?
Yeah, pretty
Bahrain.
hectic, eh?
Oh, pretty hectic. Was that man-made again?
Might have been. I don't know. They didn't mention anything about that. But I mean, Palma's fine because it's surrounded by an awesome sailing village. All those super yachts.
Yes.
A lot of them go to Palma for like
Yeah. No,
refurbs and everything.
it's a serious place.
So you run out of your little villa there, flooded street straight onto your super yacht and escape.
So what are you saying if you delayed in Palma because there were 100 flights that were delayed? It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, charter your yacht.
Charter a yacht, stay there for a bit longer. Wouldn't mind being there at the moment.
Negative.
Westchester County dismissed its lawsuit against Bark Air on June the 10th. The lawsuit challenged Bark Air's operations at Westchester County Airport. The agreement follows Bark Air to continue flights with its Gulfstream G5. So despite what you and I said, they are carrying on operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Got to be a bit rebellious nowadays.
Yeah, and then more eVTOL news from Archer. They completed their first transition flight. You know, it's funny. They come up with these things. What is a transition flight?
No.
Successfully switching from vertical to wing-borne flights on June the 8th. But I mean, they all do that.
So it's a fancy way of saying it's like a transformer.
Yeah.
My son's going to love that.
True. And this story I quite like. This came out of Simple Flying. The air transport industries faced numerous crises over the years, significantly impacting passenger traffic. Any idea what the big ones were?
Yeah. So no doubt it would be quite interesting looking at this list. I'd forgotten about this one. In 2003, the SARS outbreak.
Yeah. 35% drop in Asia Pacific traffic.
We've still got a problem with SARS here in South Africa, but it's got nothing to do with the flu.
No. 1990 to 91, Persian Gulf War, 40% decrease in transatlantic passengers. 2007 to 2009, the Great Recession, 3.4% reduction. September 11 attacks, 33% decline in monthly traffic. And then how's this one? 2020 to 2022. We all remember that wonderful period where our leaders let us down drastically around the world. Most of them are still in power today, which is just alarming on its own. 96% drop in passenger numbers. 96% between 2020 and 2022. Yet, so many airlines did survive. So many aviation companies survived, travel companies, and pilots too. You know, managed to stay in the industry, keep doing what they love. And it's actually quite remarkable when you look at that number and think, you know what? Something that led to a 96% drop has, if you look at where we are today, kind of gives you a lot of confidence for the future that things can get really, really bad. But, you know, if you stick with it and just, you know,
that's the
things
amazing
will
thing.
get better.
You know, I remember hearing that so much. I mean, they've always said, you know, aviation is the one industry that really bounces back despite how hard it takes a knock. And I mean, these 5 major events over the, let's call it last, 3 or 4 decades.
Yeah.
And it's always bounced back.
It was the first to be really affected during that chaotic period, and it was the last to come right. I mean, the top story today, Cathay bringing its last stored aircraft back. So I suppose that is a closed book now on the pandemic, because it's everything now fully back to normal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
awesome. Well, I mean, you know, at least we were on the right track in the midst of getting the podcast started during the pandemic. You know, trying to keep a cool, positive mindset. We always knew it would come back. Just the recovery, as we've said many, many times, happened a hell of a lot faster than what we thought it would. but it really is lacquer to see it being.
Well, let's be honest, Ryan. The recovery happened when it suited the powers that be that now was the time to recover. It was always
course.
going to be that case, but we were
But
just
still.
waiting for that.
The initial forecast was a lot worse.
Yeah. Great show today. 2 shows this week. Ryan's got a Father's Day school rehearsal. What's it? School play.
rehearsal.
School rehearsal. School play tomorrow.
Little kiddies have prepared something for Father's Day, so yeah, I'm not going to miss that tomorrow morning for them. And
Always.
so yeah, that keeps me out of work for the day. So be
And
back
happy
next week.
Father's Day to all the fathers around.
Yeah.
Have a lovely weekend. I think Monday's a
Public holiday.
public holiday in South Africa. So nice long weekend and have a good one.
Take it easy.
We'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye for now.
Airbus approaching